Yes. This DJ will kick the floor in three, two, 1.
On the troll. On the troll.
Hello and welcome to Mzansi. We're back again. It's that time of the night where we have to record what happened. I'm sure there's a lot of RC and whatnot that people are wondering, hey, what is happening? But it sounds all good. But let me tell you, basically, it all confirms what everyone is thinking. I know some people are confused. I've had to listen to that thing 10 times to actually get where's the gist, basically. Which basically could have been even if you didn't listen to it and assumed otherwise, you could have been validated in a sense. Yeah.
So it was kind of difficult to consume even for myself. And yes, guys, that's the reason why we are late. Okay. That's the reason why. It's because of that last part right there.
So I've had to...
What is going on?
I've had to come to the studio and say, hey, can I have that TV on? Again, I want to confirm what I had. Is it happening?
Or not?
Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? Well, what we find out is that basically by listening to it once, you are almost as validated as as listening to it 10 times or so. It's the same thing. Nothing you heard that was not said. Everything said there, it does not confirm anything. It sounds like I'm more complicated. Yeah. Oh, Emil, just one thing. I'm just going to address this thing. We have addressed it before. Me and Emil were not fighting. So when we do a show, we argue. This is a show that requires you to argue. And for those activists that come on a comment and think that, oh, this guy is brutal with this woman. No. That's not how we roll.
It's not a fight, guys.
We don't fight here.
Unfortunately.
We work. When we switch off these cameras and we decide to go our separate places, the following day is a new day. We are laughing about different things.
And we will argue. And yes, sometimes I will press for my opinion.
Yes.
We will argue. It's a debate because there's two people hosting.
We are basically more realistic. I mean, we don't make it look glorious and glamorous.
Perfect.
As
and
if we are always agreeing.
Like you said, we're coming back from work. We didn't have even time to rehearse. We don't rehearse anything. This is YouTube. We just come as we are.
Now and then you get activists who feel that their men should, or men around them should address them in a certain way.
It's triggering. It's triggering because when you are seeing or you are feeling like a woman is not allowed to have a view, it's triggering to a lot of us. Even me, I've mentioned it when Mshololo is going through it, and I'm like, sometimes it feels like it's because she's a woman. It's natural, guys. It's natural, but we are not fighting here.
Yeah, but here, if you come here, I want to make it clear. Here, we are going to fight. We are going to fight for your opinion, like everyone else. We fight, even with callers. Even with callers, even with comments.
Yeah,
so
sometimes
it has nothing to do with GB, whatnot, and we don't deal with that here.
And
maybe we look at that.
I'm not a strong argument person. Me, personally. Maybe that's why it feels like I let you be. But I'm not good with arguing. They always go left when I argue back. So I don't like to entertain arguments. So you guys should get used to me, okay? Sometimes I'd be like, okay, this is a point I want to make, but I'm not going to argue.
The gist of the story.
I'm like Ramusipili.
Yeah.
I'm like Ramusipili. That's like more of me.
Oh, Khumalo.
No.
You let it go. Let me
let it
treat.
go. It's okay, my
let
lord.
let me rephrase your lordship.
Let me rephrase the question, and if I fail to, I let it go. I've
Yeah.
never seen Ramusepeli arguing with anybody. Like,
Yeah.
I'm that kind of person. But sometimes I'm like, I have to say this. I have to say it.
Yeah, you just need to bring it.
It happens. It's life. So
And
guys,
and
don't
I've said many
rehearse.
times this case will invoke emotions now.
It
and then.
does.
So by the way, for those people, what we shoot here is what we shoot here.
It is
I mean,
what it
you
is.
don't go to JJ Tabane's show and say, why are you calling these people what? No, you don't do
though.
that. But you expect us to go a certain way. So for people who watch us every day, I'm sure it's not a problem. But there are people who come
who
here
are new and
who-
are
and they always want to
triggered.
control what happens behind the camera. You cannot.
Please, guys, don't let my response trigger you. I know it's tough in the world. I know, and especially, yes, but please don't let it trigger you to such an extent that you feel things that we are not feeling. Once we are done here, it's a wrap. We move on with our lives. We do things that we do in our lives. So, and I don't hold grudges. I don't think we've ever had a point where I'm like, I don't want to come here because yesterday you spoke to me funny. It's water down the bridge. We move. It's simple. It's like that.
Yes.
Life.
So, Ahmed, let us continue. The gist of the story is you cannot control what happens behind the camera. Watch, enjoy. If you don't enjoy, please leave.
And don't get upset, please.
I mean, there are many channels that are showing couples. Maybe we are not couples here.
Yeah.
We work together. If you want to see this nice treatment, please go to those channels. They will do you.
Yeah,
they will treat you with
there
that
are
content.
couple channels.
Here we are not doing what we call love show or what. No, we are working. We are going to argue. We are going to. Sometimes she would argue with me. I would be angry. And when we go out here, it's a laughing stock.
Now I leave it here, honestly speaking, guys. And then I'm like surprised when I see a comment and they're like, oh, thank you, Emily, for standing up for yourself. I'm like, I even forgot, Chai, what I did or what I said. I forgot. I have so many things to do.
7 minutes gone. Explaining to new people who come.
No, we have
with
to
certain
explain.
things.
Remember, every day we get new subscribers. So some people don't understand us. And some people may not get this because we are not a typical YouTube channel. I don't know whether you've noticed, Mr. Anonymous.
No, I have not.
We are not. We are different. How we do things is different. So we have to explain to people who do not understand. Our niche is unique, unfortunately. So let's start with the court proceedings of the day. Advocate Mshololo opened her cross-examination with a focus on Mhlahlo's experience, skills, and qualifications. Mshololo asked, am I correct to say the total number of experience that you have is in the SAPS is of 22 years? And Mhlahlo said it is so. And how many years of experience as an ordinary police officer, not as a criminal record crime scene management? There was a time I used to imitate Mshololo and people would be so irritated. But yeah, it's how she speaks. She speaks like a teacher with emphasis. Mhlahlo said it too. If you minus from the 22 and remove the 18 that have been working at the Criminal Record Center, Mhlahlo said it took her 3 years to attend all the courses. She started her courses in 2005 all the way up to 2008. She has no other courses outside of the SAPS with any other outside institution. So do you think that's a good thing? I feel like it should be mixed. Go outside, come inside. Not everything be reliant on SAPS training.
And the fact that she could not answer the question of whether it's accredited or not.
She disagreed that the courses are not SAQA, South African Qualifications Authority accredited.
Look, if you ask me, police should have some sort of a diploma that is within all these universities.
Standard,
which will obviously include like a sports science type of a thing.
Yeah,
you know,
physical
yes, which
activity
include
and
physical
exercise.
activities, and also in that maybe put a bit of intelligence and a
Yes,
bit of
crime
emotionally
intelligence.
intelligence, where they attend some classes that will deal with a bit of psychology, not full psychology, just a bit
Human behavior.
human behavior and all that. That will help a lot,
It would.
because that will tell you when you draw a line in terms of being more physical and whatnot. But in this case, people are just taken with grade 12 and they are trained within the SAPS, and it finishes there. And then from there, they are experts. I'm sure they don't even know when they become experts. If after 2 years you become an expert, it doesn't work like that.
No, in the real world.
In a real world, for you to be an expert of something, you must demonstrate some sort of understanding and be able to actually do those things independently and with ease. You know, like it shouldn't be difficult. You need to consult a lot and stuff like that. You understand what you're doing. You can't just become an expert of let's say psychologist. You know, I think that's how police should be, and that would help us a lot. Maybe even minimize this issue of criminality that is within the institution itself, where there will be that conscious and understanding of preserving what you obtained in terms of studying and whatnot. The same way you
Like, for example, doctors are not that monitored, but because of the years of training that they've had, it's not so easy for them to want to be reckless or to throw it away so I feel like the same honor should be there in the SAPS, where you know that you're working with people and you need a little bit more than 6 months of training. So now she said that HRD will have to explain if they are not SAQA accredited.
So and that is HR basically.
The HR.
So HR is supposed to tell you. It isn't HR responsible for hiring only.
True.
Now they are
but because the training is infused in the hiring as well.
So yes, it's part of HR training and development within the company.
The SAPS,
But the training and development that happens in private company, most of them, it has to do with aligning with what the culture is within the company. So does that mean that is accredited? No. This is basically people teaching you how to behave within their companies. And obviously there are other courses within the company that are accredited, but those ones they will do in collaboration with institutions that...
Yeah, they do it with collaboration of institutions. They don't just offer the training as a company. You are right about that. So the people that trained her were qualified, and because of receiving training from experts, it made her an expert.
Yeah, that's what Mshololo is putting to her.
She didn't take it back.
And she never refuted it and said
she never
no.
refuted it. How nice that she says that she started from 2005 and by 2008 she was already an expert. How nice is that?
That's what I'm trying to say. There is no procedure that needs to be followed to actually consider someone an expert. You know, everyone, even teachers, there are procedures that they need to follow.
There is a procedure. You can't just wake up and say, I'm an expert.
Do you understand?
There's a process. You go through years of experience in training, handling pressure, stressful situations, that type of stuff. And Mhlahlo says that she found Mosia on the scene. Mshololo asked, you are the one who was responsible for taking fingerprints on the scene? And Mhlahlo said yes. And all the fingerprints were lifted by herself. And Mhlahlo said that is so. Mhlahlo said that when she arrived at the scene, she was given a report by Colonel Zwani, and she was informed of the door that was used by the intruder. Asked if she performed any investigations at the door, Mhlahlo said that she powdered it and did investigate the door. So Mshololo asked, did you receive the results? And Mhlahlo says there were no prints. So were there any photos of that to show that this was done, asking Mshololo, like any other exhibits? And Mhlahlo said if the court allows her to explain how the issue of fingerprints works. She started explaining, saying that when you arrive at the crime scene, you check for fingerprints, you use a powder and a brush. It depends on the type of surface that you're powdering. But before powdering, there is a torch or a light source that they use to search for the fingerprints. Then you powder the crime scene, and if there are no fingerprints that you find, you don't lift anything. But if there are fingerprints found, that is where you capture them, and that becomes your evidence.
Sure.
Mshololo then said, so it is your evidence, you couldn't detect anything from the kitchen door. And Mhlahlo said, that's right. So they didn't get any fingerprints from the kitchen door.
Yes. Not even theirs, where they were working.
Mshololo then said Mr. Mosia said there were no fingerprints taken from the kitchen door. In other words, he didn't mention that there was a test done there. And the state objected, saying Mosia was swabbing.
Yes.
So what's the difference? Swabbing for what? For DNA on the
Yes.
people?
Yes.
So that's what Mosia did. But Mosia said he did fingerprint as well.
This is messed up. This is when you're listening to this, it keeps on changing. Yeah, but basically, you can put it to that side to say that he was swabbing for, or he was swabbing the door. I don't know.
Why would he swab the door? Because there he was looking for fingerprints.
I don't know.
And he did use this term swab a lot. It's like I had a veil over
I questioned that term
my
when
eyes.
I heard it. Yeah.
What was Mosia talking about when he was saying that he was swabbing the door? I mean, I'm thinking he's taking fingerprints when he's explaining that.
And in fact, you are right in saying so, Emil. Because at the end, when this who's this guy who came to testify, to actually give evidence on behalf of Ngomane. When Baloyi was excited by certain things here, he ended up saying that he must give those things that actually who's this guy Mosia documented, which was forensic, which is 12 evidence swaps.
Yeah, 12 evidence swaps.
And then a hat, obviously a hat.
So when Mosia was saying I was swabbing for the fingerprint, what was he talking about, guys? Now it's like, okay, like what is happening?
Yeah, he did actually get fingerprints because here, there's one bullet or 4 bullet jackets and 1 bullet core and photograph, which was actually, there were no fingerprints that were given, even in this thing.
The judge said that the question is ambiguous. When Mosia says there were no fingerprints taken, it means there were no fingerprints, there was none. That's another meaning of that. So it does not mean that this lady did not conduct the test. What is your judge saying, guys?
You see, this judge today, again, overlapped. He, to me, sounded like he was so hungry to get to a point where the movement of Mosia were collaborated. It looked like that, such that this man, Ngomane, and we are thankful for his truthful honesty of what was written down.
Yes.
We don't see those things. So Ngomane had to tell him, no. That case actually does not belong to Mosia. And that case was around that time.
Yes.
Which confused a lot of things, because the fact that you are talking while this guy is talking, you are also interjecting and trying to get into a juicy side of the story. It might sound like that case actually was eventually given to Mosia. No, it's not Mosia. There was a name on that case, which is a different name.
Yes. Mr. Know-it-all.
Hey, that guy.
Akathi uthi fafa.
And if you listen to him on your sleep with the, as they say in the comments, what is it, voice of a bat or something like that, you can actually assume that everything is collaborated.
You know, as I am collecting this transcript, I did not see anything wrong with it. It's only now that I'm like, no. What are you saying? So literally here, what he's saying is that because Mhlahlo didn't take any fingerprints, it does not take away from that Mosia did not conduct the test on the door. And I'm like, but that's not what Mshololo kind of was asking, you know. So it does not mean that this lady did not conduct that test. That's what he said. There were no fingerprints taken. It doesn't follow that there was no test made. So no fingerprints being taken to him does not mean that no tests were made. But yet, when Mshololo is asking this specific person whether they made those tests, what's so difficult about them answering that question, you know? And for him to come to that conclusion, it means that there were fluorescent tests that she conducted. That's what the judge said. And Mshololo said, is the question disallowed, my lord? I think
That's a good one. Let's get into a gist of the story. Are you denying me?
Are you denying me to ask this question?
Or should I continue?
And the judge said, no, it's not disallowed. I'm just expanding on your insinuation of your on your examination that Mosia says there were no fingerprints taken, meaning that no tests were done. That is one aspect of it also. That is why I say it is ambiguous. Mshololo continued with business as usual, and she said, my question is, Miss Mhlahlo, Mr. Mosia, when he testified, he said there are no fingerprints that were taken, but he did not specify that there were those preliminary tests that were applied first, which caused the fingerprints not to be taken. Do you understand what I'm saying? And Mhlahlo said, I hear you. He never said anything about the powder being used before, which explains why the fingerprints were not lifted. And Mhlahlo said, I cannot answer for Mosia. Mhlahlo said that when she arrived, there were no police officers in the house. She says she found Mosia and Captain Zwane standing at the gate. She says that as a warrant officer, she was of a higher rank than Mosia, who was a constable. And Mshololo asked, you decided that Mosia should proceed as a junior member at the scene. He testified that he was a constable, and Mhlahlo said yes. Did Colonel Matidze join you as you were raiding the scene, or did he remain outside? And Mhlahlo said he remained outside. And Mshololo asked, the senior member in that team was yourself. And Mhlahlo said on the side of crime scene it was herself, but on the police side it was Zwane. And Mshololo continued to say, you decided that Mosia, as much as he had done first investigations, but he should proceed as a junior member at the crime scene. And Mhlahlo said, that is so. Mshololo asked, and Mr. Mosia testified that on one of the reasons he stopped the investigation is because he was waiting for the task team. And Mhlahlo said, it is so. And Mshololo asked, and you were the task team he was waiting for? And Mhlahlo said, it is so. And you delegated the duties to the same person who had ceased to do investigations, waiting for you? And Mhlahlo said, that is why we did a further investigation with Mosia. If the court is aware, there are things Mosia did not do, and he did them once I was there. Why did he conduct those investigations in your presence? Asking Mshololo. Were you the one who gave instructions on what to do, or were you just taking photos as you have testified? And Mhlahlo said, as I've already said, we were working as a team. After he had told us what investigation he had done, we had to continue with the DNA because he had done that. Now, this is surprising to me because you'd think in the SAPS egos with positions and rankings, right?
Yes.
Why now when you're testifying in court you want to compare Mosia to your equal in the workplace.
Yes, yes.
And her arrogance in court tells me that is not the kind of person that she is.
And Emily, just to add on this, based on what we have just figured out, that there could have been, whether we call it a white lie or whatsoever, according to what we are seeing here, based on the movement of Mshololo, of Mosia towards towards the end, towards the early mornings of his days, and that tells you this is something to look into more deep now.
Yes.
You know, was he waiting for you to was Mosia waiting for you to actually come and do whatever that you needed to do in that scene? Because now, I mean, you came, things were found.
Yes.
Things that many people who had two eyes, as much as could not see. And not that you use a special thing, because there were ports, so you couldn't use your metal detector and whatnot. So you also use your eyes. And to top it all, you are not a ballistic expert, so you wouldn't know that if this heat here moves to what direction and whatnot.
No, she wouldn't know that.
No, you wouldn't know that. Based on your expertise.
But you just look straight at the top of the cupboard, girl.
After just looking at a door, a piece of a door, and that piece of a door told you that, okay, then a bullet could have moved it this way.
It's not on the floor. It must be on the cupboard.
Do you understand? So those questions were rightfully asked. Because, I mean...
I have difficulty in this thing of hers of trying to rate Mosia and herself as if they were at the same level, doing the same job, at the same ranking. I'm like, girl, your ego right now in this court as you're testifying does not tell me that is how you do things, okay?
We are not psychologists.
And Mosia has never been shy about the fact that he wanted help.
Yes.
He needed help.
But one thing, Emil, that you should also look at, when people do not want to tell the whole theory or the whole truth or the whole of whatever that is happening, they become more defensive.
Yeah.
Which has been an order of these whole witnesses coming here with an attitude.
Yes.
I mean, you could swear that there's someone who's training them.
Yes.
You know,
very, very
you would be rightly...
evasive, defensive. It's like they are the ones who are on trial. They are the ones who are being accused. They are coming with that attitude.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's not an attitude of I want to help. Even those who were in the house, I want to help. To see it from the people who should apprehend the law, the people who are law, in fact, the part of law themselves, people who make these things, people who determine who gets arrested and whatnot based on what they're given. To see them having that such attitude, that Mshololo eventually called out. I know that he was reprimanded.
She was reprimanded, but she had to say.
But it is worrying.
It's worrying.
And then Mosia, when he's supposed to come back, after what we found out, and indeed someone in the comments is saying that he plays the sick card.
Yeah, he does. I'm sick, my lord. The last time I testified,
no, we'll fetch you from the hospital.
So well.
We'll fetch you.
My health was so unwell. I even have a doctor's transcript to show you, to prove to this court that I am sickly. I'm like, Mosia, you are not sickly every day when you're showing up to your 9 to 5.
Do you understand?
You are not retired.
And this becomes part of your 9 to 5.
Bed.
It is actually part of the 9 to 5.
It is part of the 9 to 5, and it's much simpler because you have an option of standing up and sitting down. All you have to do is use your mouth. You're not driving up and down. You're not sitting at a desk the whole day. You are flexible in that witness box. You can sit down. You can stand up. You have options. You can ask for a break if you need one.
I saw it and I called it yesterday. You see, once there's something, people making excuses, something is not going to match or something is not going to come up.
Yeah. Well, Mshololo continued to cross-examine, and she said, and also Mr. Mosia, as he was taking those DNA, was he instructed by you or by any member of the team, or it came out of his own mind that he must conduct those investigations? And Mhlahlo said he was not told, he was doing it by himself, and I was working with him. This is Mhlahlo now, equating herself to, at the time it was Colonel Mosia, and she was a warrant officer. So her ranking was way above Musia's. Musia just got warrant officer this year, 2023, in July. So you figure that one out. And
that question was warranted to ask that. Were you pointing or showing Musia where and what to take? Because Mosia was there, he didn't take a picture of cans, right?
No.
But immediately and in fact you are collaborating with the story of the camera not being in trouble, the camera working fine. The man did not, to show his junior level, he did not take some of the evidence.
He seemed like he didn't.
He only took that evidence according to your testimony when you were there.
Yes. So Mshololo then asked, so he was conducting an investigation that he could have conducted without your assistance. And Mhlahlo said he could have done it in my absence, but he did not have torches to use. Did Mosia say anything about not having torches?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Did we use those torches, by the way?
No.
I mean, that what matters is
or maybe they used them for the fingerprints.
Yes.
And Mshololo asked, Mosia also testified the camera he used was of not good quality and waited for task team to be assisted. And Mhlahlo said, I won't be able to attest to the camera. So you're telling me you did not know or you didn't ask?
No, he has actually attested to it. It was just confirming everything that was said. Why I say that?
Why?
He said the camera, according to her, was fine. You know? So that means the camera was okay.
It was okay, according to her.
And I would like to believe that because this is SAPS, the camera is of the same standard as everyone else. There's nothing special about it. You can go buy Sony and then buy Canon for others. You want a 4K view. No. It's the same standard. These things are it's like the cars they buy. They buy the same standard.
Okay. Mshololo said, but at the scene, it is correct that Mr. Mosia had his own camera and you also had your own camera. And Mhlahlo said it is so. And they were both functioning. And Mhlahlo said, according to my knowledge. So this is the confirmation.
Do you understand?
Yeah. So Mshololo then said, when you arrived at the scene, were you also informed of the direction that the intruders took immediately after the shooting incident? And Mhlahlo said yes. It was said that they went down the street towards the park. And Mshololo asked, did you take pictures of the street or park? And Mhlahlo said no. When asked why Mhlahlo she didn't take the pictures of the street or the park, she said that her crime scene was inside the house and not the street. I found that very rude.
What I found interesting in that answer is what determines the crime scene, perhaps. What is a crime scene? Is it where the incident happened? Or is it where the incident happened and there's an inquest, someone runs into a certain house? Is that house now not an additional crime scene?
It's supposed to be in our logic, but according to the SAPS, it seems like it's not.
So you see why I say these things must be documented. There must be one way of knowing what is, for example, a crime scene. If I take something here and run away and go to neighboring property and get in there, so and I'm caught there or I'm not caught there.
You hide there.
I hide there. So is that not part of now the scene by virtue of a criminal running from wherever they ran to? In fact, that begs the question as to if that is not a crime scene, then why do these people when they are arresting you in your house, they come and search your house also. Because that is not a crime scene. A crime scene is wherever I committed crime, right? According to this definition.
Yes.
So why do police come and search my house then?
Looking for
If they found me in that house. Like, for instance, the issue of accused number 3.
Yes. They're looking for so-called evidence, right? Why are they allowed to search your house? Because your house is not the crime scene. Right?
So there must be a documented way of defining what constitutes the crime scene.
So according to your knowledge, asking Mshololo, the street and park did not form part of the crime scene. And Mhlahlo said, no, it was not part of my crime scene. Mhlahlo had testified that when they arrived at the crime scene, she took picture of outside the house. And Mshololo asked, did you take the pictures of the wall around the house? And Mhlahlo said, I took pictures of the house. You didn't take pictures of the wall. And Mhlahlo said, no, but it appears in the photos 7 and 8, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. A part of the wall is visible there. And Mshololo asked, why didn't you take the pictures of the 4 corners of the wall fencing the Khumalo homestead? Is there a particular reason? And Mhlahlo said, the incident happened inside the house, not outside. That's why I took pictures of the house as it was. Because when we received the information...
So not even a yard was actually... not even the surrounding of that house was considered a crime scene, but within the house, that's where crime was.
Inside the house, they were busy there inside that house. That was their only focus, inside that house. They were very busy for a good number of hours.
Which begs the question, and why do we have 4 accused that are sitting there? Because there is that theory that they could have been sitting outside
waiting
and
in
all
a
that,
car somewhere. Or by the danger box, or somewhere, but they were waiting, right? There's that theory. So if you didn't consider the outside and the wall as part of a crime scene, or even the park, after, other witnesses have come to say that they ran towards the park, the so-called intruders. You understand? So she said, because we received the information, we were informed that the incident happened inside the house. So Mshololo asked, in other words, you did not consider it necessary to take pictures of the wall or take measurements of the wall. And Mhlahlo said, if I was informed, people jumped the wall, but I heard that people ran out of the gate. You heard that. You heard that people ran out of the gate.
Then you took a picture of a gate.
And you took a picture of the gate, but you didn't ask which direction they ran to. Where could they have ran to?
So, again, if you are petty, you would ask, why did you take the picture of the gate? Because this is where they ran to.
They ran to.
Same as the park, this is where they ran to. Why did you feel the need to take a picture of a gate then?
Yeah. So as a result of that, you did not think that the walls form part of the crime scene. And Mhlahlo said, yes, that is so. And Mshololo asked, how many exit gates were there? And Mhlahlo said, only 1. Mshololo asked, did you take measurements of the wall between the 2 houses? And Mhlahlo said, no, there was no information that linked the incident to the wall. Mshololo asked, the report was given to you of what happened was Mosia. And Mhlahlo said, no, it was Zwane. So she's asking whether when she received that report, who gave her that report? Was it Mosia? And Mhlahlo said, no, it was Zwane. So Mshololo asked, were you told that Khumalo had picked up the hat that was said to have been used by one of the intruders? And Mhlahlo said, no, I was not told. Mshololo asked, with your experience, if something like that had happened, it should have been recorded, right? And Mhlahlo said, that is correct. Mshololo asked, and you, as experts, are what you should have been informed about? And Mhlahlo said, yes, that's correct. Now, on securing the crime scene, Mshololo asked, how is the crime scene secured? And Mhlahlo said, the police must put a tape so that no one can enter. And if there's anyone inside, they must be told to step outside. They must investigate the scene. So there must be no movement until the investigation must be completed, until the investigation is done. And Mshololo said, in other words, they have to remain at the scene to safeguard and to prevent any tampering with the exhibits. Am I correct? And Mhlahlo said, that's correct. Mshololo asked, were you told that there is a gentleman by the name of Themba Khumalo who remained on the scene and had house keys? And Mhlahlo said, I never received such a report. Mshololo asked, do you confirm that if that had happened, that would have been reported to you as a forensic specialist, and you would ought to have been recorded, or would have ought to have recorded it on the statement of the police officers who attended the scene? And Mhlahlo said, if I was told, then I would have written it in my statement. And in my point a little bit, as I add, I also feel like she should have included the part of when they were busy doing the exhibits and having cordoned off the scene, as they say, and they were busy investigating inside the house. The people inside the house. House.
Because she was literally saying the house was empty.
She was putting it like the house was empty. But the house was not empty.
There's one of the people, like, is it Zwane, who was interviewing people?
Yes, who was taking statements from Babu Tumelo.
Within the house?
Yes.
What was Zwane doing? I cannot testify about Zwane. Exactly, that's a problem.
Then Mshololo said, and also the police officers who arrived first, if they had received such information, that information was very crucial. It ought to have been recorded in the statement so that it can be investigated properly. And Mhlahlo said, maybe in their statement. Mshololo asked, if a person is left in control of a house and having keys, left alone, without police there, there is a possibility that they may be removing or replacing things. In other words, there may be a possibility of that person interfering with the crime scene because he was left with the keys. And Mhlahlo said she had no comment on that. So the next exhibit was shown, which were pictures depicting the bullet hole from the kitchen door. Mshololo asked, was any sort of investigation done on the hole depicted in the door, or there was no need to do any investigation on that hole? And Mhlahlo said, except for taking pictures or looking at where the hole led to, nothing was done. So Mshololo asked, you did not take a piece of that hole, you did not take any swab? And Mhlahlo said, no, we didn't take it. Mshololo now moved to photo 127 of the same exhibit, and she asked, you said what is depicted there is a bullet head? And Mhlahlo said, that's correct. Mshololo asked, what else is depicted there? And Mhlahlo said, a piece of the door, the kitchen door. Then Mshololo asked, how do you know that? And Mhlahlo said, they are the same. The piece is exactly the same as the door. Was it taken for examination to see if that piece is part of the door? And Mhlahlo said, at the police, we have no unit that tests or examines pieces of wood. So then Mshololo said, but do you agree with me that the piece of wood ought to have been taken to be checked and compared if it belongs to the door? And the judge is like, sorry, but this witness says in the police force, they don't have such a unit. I mean, what do you do?
Why is he giving opinion on the wood?
I don't know.
Why is he not denouncing that that's a wood? Why is he even saying that it belongs to that door? Why?
He has taken that it belongs to that door by her saying that it belongs to that door. He's not interested in testing whether it did or not. And that's the problem right there, our beloved judge.
Double standards. When
people are just sliding in your court.
When someone is giving evidence on a certain thing, that's why you say all the time when someone is about to ask them about maybe ballistic, for example, you protect them by saying, do you expect this person to answer that? But when person voluntarily gives information. The main aim is not here to play the chess game, as you say. No, we are not playing chess game here. Here, we are here to find the truth. If someone voluntarily gives a testimony about what maybe Matidze was doing, it's okay. It should be okay.
There should be a follow-up question to that. Why is it blocked?
You know, why do you now start realizing that this person is actually testifying on behalf? You don't even reprimand that person. You reprimand the person who's asking a question.
After
After they were triggered by what the witness has said.
Yes. That's it.
And how do you call that a fair environment for both the defense and obviously the witnesses and the states? Because the states, you are even able to remind them to object. Yes. States, what are you saying? Or states, you'd call them.
But let's be kumbuzwa, like they're always reminded that now you can object. It's so weird.
Do you understand?
It's so weird. And Mshololo then said, from your own naked eyes, I put it to you that you are not a specialist. You cannot tell this court that part of wood depicted there forms part of the door. And Mhlahlo said, I agree that I'm not a specialist, but anyone can see that that piece looks like it is part of the door. Unfortunately, not anyone, my dear, because Tina, we are not at privilege of seeing exhibits. So you will have to fight this one out and exclude us from it. Not anyone can see that part. Yeah, so if it wasn't tested that it belongs to that door, we will take it as such. It was not tested. So there's no accuracy that it belonged to that door. And Mshololo said, and I put it to you that without a report from a specialist...
Yet she's claiming that even a blind person would see that thing belongs to the door. But then again...
Asiko Tina Labo. Put yourself there. Stand in the kitchen and the heat. Mshololo then said, and I put it to you that without a report from a specialist who works with that examination, you cannot tell this court that it was part of the door.
And you see, the court is writing such things. The court is taking such things. But when the person is probed on that, it becomes an issue of an argument. There's no writing, there's nothing. It's okay. I guess the record is recorded and whatnot will help in this case. But to me, it does not make sense. Why do you enjoy then seeing the time, the valuable time of the court wasted? If someone says something that there could be no follow-up question on, why don't you stop it right there? Because you are conscious about time also. Why don't you say this is not going to lead us to the witness?
Yes.
Why don't you say this is not going to lead us to where we want to arrive? Please stop testifying in that manner.
No, that can't happen in this court. Mhlahlo then said the door is broken. There's a piece next to the door. If you look at the door and the piece, they look exactly the same, even though I'm not a specialist. And Mshololo said, but I'm telling you that you are not qualified to give that report. Let's move on. Mshololo was getting upset here. Did you measure that head piece of wood? And Mhlahlo said, I didn't measure it. So Mshololo asked, what was the color? And Mhlahlo said it was brown. And she also included, so you don't know how long it is? And she said, no, she doesn't know. And Mshololo, is that included in your statement? And Mhlahlo said, if I collected that piece, I would have written it. But since I did not collect it, I didn't write it. Mhlahlo said that piece had no evidential value at the police. They have no department to go to where they take wood to be tested.
Contradiction at its best.
That wood needed to be tested, honestly speaking.
More so if it is also part of the things that help to determine to find a certain bullet of some sort. Do you understand?
If it
why it became the issue of a national interest, because it helped by your bullet hitting the door and removing that, whatever that is removed, and then falling down, and then from there you were able to find a bullet. It became the issue. It became part of the evidence. It should have been part of the evidence.
Should have been.
More so when
Because-
people in the house are saying that when they moved out, they went to hospital. It
didn't
kind
notice.
of was not, or it was not noticed. So now all of a sudden we have such a thing. Didn't you?
It could have been picked and placed.
Do you understand? To
So how are you
collaborate as
gonna
a
know
story.
that? If you didn't have interest of it and you're saying it had no evidential value, and yet it was straight next to the bullet projectile. Mshololo then moved on now to the pictures of the alcohol cans. Mshololo asked who came with the idea that the alcohol cans must be part of the investigation. And Mhlahlo said when an investigation is done, there's no instruction but exchanging of views. Mshololo asked, you are a team. Who was the lead investigator? And Mhlahlo said Mosia was responsible for forensics. What about her? What was she responsible for? Because now Mosia is responsible for forensic. Aren't you both, or weren't you both responsible for forensics? And Mshololo asked, Mosia did not conduct any investigation on those cans. Who came with the idea that investigations needed to be done on those cans? And Mhlahlo said, when an investigation is done, there are no instructions. We work together. Mhlahlo says it's both their idea.
Yeah.
They have the same idea at the same time. And voila. I don't believe that. Mshololo then asked, you are a team. Who was the lead investigator? And Mhlahlo said Mosia was responsible for forensics. So a junior was assisting you. And Mhlahlo said there is no senior or junior on crime scene. So you can be led by a junior. This is Mshololo asking. You can be led by a junior. Yeah, this is when she woke up and she's like, no, we work exchanging views, not by instructions. Mshololo then asked, Mr. Mosia said he had ceased investigations, meaning he had stopped investigations, and he was waiting for the task team to arrive. And those cans were there. He could have done the investigations, but he did not conduct an investigation waiting for the task team. And Mhlahlo said, that is what I'm explaining, that yes, Mosia had not done any DNA, which is why we did further investigation on those things he had done. Mshololo said, that's why I'm asking you, how have you assisted Mr. Mosia? Mhlahlo said, by proceeding to take pictures while he conducted the DNA.
So you became a photographer. Like...
After
you
finding
became a proper picture taker. Like,
she was.
You know, lying on your belly there, taking proper stuff. You know,
140 something of pictures.
190 something px of camera quality and whatnot. You were working with those things, right?
She was a photographer. We are going to take it like that. Mosia was the actual investigator, even though her ranking was higher. And Mosia was like, I waited for the task team to come and help me, cause.
And the best picture you took is that one of a brown envelope inside
with the bullet inside
sealed
the brown
bag of-
envelope inside the sealed bag. And Mshololo asked, am I correct to say that you are not the one who said forensics should be done on those two cans? And Mhlahlo said it was both of us's idea. In receiving your training, did they tell you about the attitude, the effect of a positive and negative attitude in testifying in court? Did they tell you? And the state objected, saying that they don't fathom the relevancy of that question. Mr. Anonymous, they don't fathom.
They cannot fathom.
Perhaps ID Council can lay the basis, but they submit that it should be disallowed. And the judge said, what has your question got to do with evidential proceedings like these ones concerning the forensic expert? And Mshololo said, it's because the witness does not want to give the answer that it was her or Mr. Mosia. And before she could finish, the judge was like, that question is a legal question. Who gives evidence and who is trained on giving evidence? I know judges and advocates who can't give evidence even after going to school for 5 or 7 years. And Mshololo said if she did not receive such training, she must say so. There's no problem. And the judge asked if Mhlahlo received legal training. And Mhlahlo said no. And Mshololo said,
how are you an
my
expert?
lord.
How are you an expert?
How is she an expert?
If you don't have such incorporated to your
How have you
glorious
testified in many court cases? Like you said at your examination. You said you testified in many court cases when Alala, and you can't answer questions right now in this court. It's very weird. And Mshololo said, thank you, my lord. It's better if it's coming from the witness. I am Mshololo.
No, look, I don't mind these days if little shades are thrown. This judge can also throw some shades.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah, she's got a lot of shades that would piss me off. So if
I
you
don't
can
mind,
give
my
it,
lord.
please take it also.
It's better if it's coming from the witness. Thank you, Mshololo. Thank you. And then Mshololo said, you testified a brown envelope was used to put the bullet in. And Mhlahlo said, yes, it was used. Mshololo asked, the brown envelope is not the one prescribed with the standard rules of the SAPS, like the exhibit bag, which comes with the seal numbers. And Mhlahlo said, yes, it doesn't have a seal number. Mshololo demonstrated the envelope, and she said that it is not like the prescribed envelopes and seal bags that are prescribed. Once opened, they cannot be sealed again. And Mhlahlo said that the envelope has glue. Now Mhlahlo ekangangati.
We know that.
We know that, but it doesn't stick the same way.
Yeah.
You can't
You know,
open it and it still sticks how it stuck the first time you used it.
but that's what he was actually saying, that if you open it, you will damage it. But all I'm trying to say is that I remember on the days when the reports at school were given through an envelope. You were told not to open that thing, even by your parents.
Yes.
But because of anxiety, you would open that thing. You'll find a way. If you take your time and
slowly.
sit down and not be in a rush, slowly remove this thing, you can actually close it back. If it's more so, if it's not white, you can actually close it back and no one will see that you opened it.
True.
And depending on how much saliva was used to close the envelope, you'll open that thing. By the time you reach home, you know that you did well or you didn't do well, or the report has just disappeared. In fact, we learned this thing of things disappearing at high school, at primary school and high school.
You just give your mom an empty envelope.
You like the teacher, or you don't even give it all. You're like, I didn't get it. I didn't get it.
Some of them I used to see them on the streets.
I've seen things like that. Luckily, I've never been in a situation of not being able to present my report. But many of these people who are police now, some of them, we studied with them, and that's what they used to do. I know one guy who the parents would actually walk to school to get the results now.
With him.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So and these days is a police. So that guy learned that thing of losing the evidence when he was young.
I mean, now what I don't understand is why there has to be the use of envelopes. Why can't you just take from the exhibit the scene and put it in a forensic bag?
And you see what the forensic bag does. It has a number. So if you have tampered, and then even if you take a new forensic bag and put it on, it will have a different number.
So can we speculate that this envelope process was created for a particular reason, which is to avoid taking the exhibit directly to the exhibit bag?
Yes.
Especially if you want to do something before you put it in that exhibit bag.
It is advisable to use an envelope.
You put an envelope first. just before you put it in where you cannot take it back. Mhlahlo said that it had glue and confirmed that it is the one that belonged to the government. The forensic bag, once you seal it, you cannot reopen it without damaging it, unlike the brown envelope. So Mhlahlo said that once the brown envelope is opened, it will be visible that it was opened, but it does not have a serial number like the evidence bag. It also has no seal like the seal bag.
So with the seal bag, you try to open it, it gets damaged, fully damaged.
When it gets
you
to the
cannot
lab,
fix it.
They can see that, what is this now?
And it changes the number also if you get a new one, because obviously they are readily available. But it doesn't mean that you can get a duplicate of that number.
Yeah, it means at the labs they've recorded the numbers that are going in.
Yes, that would mean if you tampered with, if you went out with that sealed bag, and then you reported it down there on your statement, you would put that number, and then when you decide to change along the way and someone convinces you, maybe with good money, to say, man, remove that thing, you would need to unseal that thing. Obviously, it gets cracked. Otherwise, they will not receive it in lab. Or they will write down that it was opened, when we received it.
It was not in a good.
Yes.
It was contaminated when it got here.
Yes.
Yeah. Mshololo then said that glue is not the same as the seal that is used in the seal bag. And Mhlahlo said, yes, they are not the same. Mhlahlo said that the seal bag can be pierced by a sharp object. And Mhlahlo demonstrated the packaging of the exhibit with a brown envelope. Remember, our beloved judge told her to bring an envelope. So she took this opportunity to demonstrate. She was demonstrating to Advocate Mshololo about how the brown envelopes work.
You know the irony of a brown envelope in our South African lingo?
Yeah, it's a bribe. Brown envelope, we're talking about a bribe. But then, never mind that. I'm just laughing at the fact that she took this opportunity to take out that brown envelope that the judge said she should bring, right? And she was now demonstrating to Mshololo. She's like, if the court can allow me to demonstrate, I'm like, And exhibit with a brown envelope and a transparent plastic bag. Mosia found a blank and wrote Exhibit 1 on it because he was going to put the exhibit in it. Once that is done, it is the seal to protect the integrity of the exhibit until it reaches the forensic laboratory. And Mhlahlo said, you then take this envelope and you put it in the exhibit bag and you seal it. What is done at the forensic laboratory, they then check the information on the bag and what you have written corresponds. That's why you see in this picture, there's a picture of the envelope written exhibit, and it was then placed inside the plastic bag. So in my opinion, she still doesn't get that this use of this brown envelope is a problem. She's so in denial about it. She doesn't want to acknowledge that it is not really looking good. Then Mshololo said, is it possible for someone to tamper with those envelopes? And Mhlahlo said, you can't tamper with something placed in the exhibit bag without tearing the exhibit. But why do you have to put it in a brown envelope first? That is the problem here.
Because it's a sharp object. But I've seen, the funny thing, you watch crime channels, you see this thing, even a knife. They put it upside. They put it
Google
facing
right
upside.
Now, pictures.
Yeah. They put it upside. So
as it is.
It's a first thing that
in South
all of a sudden,
in South Africa,
yes.
Do they use brown envelopes and then put
in South Africa,
seal bags?
I feel that at some point they would justify taking a knife that maybe stabbed someone and putting it in a place where there's cotton, and they would say we are making sure that it doesn't.
Because honestly, that brown envelope, it's paper. And paper, as you are moving around, there's friction there. So I honestly saying that whatever you have will still be the same. Just put it in a plastic bag. What is so wrong about that? Hi.
To avoid getting angry when you're testifying.
When you're testifying in court,
just do the right thing.
Baton.
Put it in the plastic bag. Put it in the forensic bag that you are given.
And cut all of these processes that you've created in between. We don't need that brown envelope. Just put the exhibit in the plastic bag. What's so hard? Then Mshololo said you can pierce the bag. And Mhlahlo said that's why it was put in an envelope first. She was trying to duck and dive.
That's what is fun, In fact, a paper
It's
also is
sharp.
easy to tear when there's a sharp
cuts.
object. Yes.
The paper cuts happen. I've had a couple of those. And Mshololo said, I think you can agree with me that the bag can be pierced within a sharp object. And Mhlahlo said yes. Now, this was a play of words by Mshololo that I loved because maybe she wasn't aware, but you are literally saying that whatever may be placed inside of that bag has the potential
of piercing
as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Mshololo. Thank you. And then after the tea adjournment, she continued briefly with covering the rest of her cross-examination. And she asked, was the door not supposed to be closed and marked the no-go area until the investigation is finalized? And Mhlahlo said that was the only door into the house. So Mshololo asked, was the door not supposed to be closed and marked as a no-go area? And Mhlahlo said, I don't understand how will the investigation be done with a closed door. Oh my God, Mhlahlo. Yo! Mhlahlo is the most I thought Tumelo was difficult. But it's like they had the same training.
Or maybe she...
Hey, Mhlahlo. Mhlahlo's a brick wall.
She's a trainer. She's a trainer, this one. She's a trainer.
The scene itself was cordoned off. So Mshololo said, so there was no need to close that door as a no-go area. And Mhlahlo said the door was being used. If the door was closed, we wouldn't
Answer
be
the
able
question.
to investigate
was there a need?
inside the house.
Was there no need?
Mshololo said, so all the people who were moving in and out of the house were using that door. And Mhlahlo said, those that I was with, yes. Myself, Mosia, Brigadier Ndlovu, and Captain Zwane. What about the other people that were in the house? What about them? What about
we were told by these people that there were questions there.
What about those people?
But remember, the people that said that are those first one, the first one on the scene.
Oh yes, and
who did they say was interviewing?
Say they left. So
who did they say was interviewing?
Who was interviewing was Zwane.
Zwane. So yes. Zwane was already there.
Zwane was already there when Mosia first.
And then Zwane also was there when it was only 3 of them now in the house after interviewing people in the very same house.
So remember also,
is Zwane
just
coming?
Got to me. Yeah, I think he will come.
Okay.
And I'm also remembering now that it was actually with Mhlahlo, she came the following day. And remember, the others had left for Malbatin.
Yeah, Mhlahlo came the following day. So it looked clean. The house looked clean.
The house could have been empty. Just came to me now that, okay. But I don't think it was necessarily empty. Where was the mother? Where was Zandi?
They were at Malbatin.
Where was she? Zandi's mom.
Malbatin.
Because there was a point where Mtogo did say that when he was looking for the ID or something before going to
found
write the
them
statement,
there.
Yes, he found Kelly Khumalo's mother
there
at the house,
and then he said Kelly's at Malbatin.
Yes. So Mhlahlo akafuna ukubafaka endlini. Akafuna.
I guess they were not there.
Then Mshololo said, and that includes all other people who had access in that house, since you are saying there was no other door. And Mhlahlo said yes. Mshololo said, and after all those people in the house who were moving in and out, including the police officers who inspected the area on top of the cupboard. And also, guys, remember, there are pictures of Kelly, Zandi, Longwe, everyone the following day.
The following day in that house, they were taken.
They were
at glowing the house and shining with some swollen eyes.
Yes. So I understand why Mhlahlo bamenshini, as if they were never there. It's so weird. And after all those people in the house who were moving in and out, including the police officers who inspected the area on top of the cupboard where you found the bullet, were using that door. And then after you discovered that bullet, and Mhlahlo said only one door was being used. So Mshololo asked, and you then found the bullet next to the entrance where people were moving in and out of the house? And Mhlahlo said behind the door, behind the glass jars. Mosia says he also looked there and he never found anything there. He then left the scene. Mhlahlo said, I understand, I'm listening. Mshololo then said, when he came back, then you found the bullet. And Mhlahlo said, yes, when I investigated, I found the bullet.
So you've got sharp eyes on Mhlahlo. You eat carrots.
Mm-hmm. And according to Zandi Khumalo's evidence is that it was visible enough. It was clear light in that area in such a way that it was possible to even see a fly moving in that area. Remember when she was testifying at Bokanya, you could even see a fly. She was talking in reference to the other two detectives who arrived at night, who were first on the scene, who said they looked on top of the cupboard and they didn't see a bullet. Then Mhlahlo said, I'm listening. Mshololo then said, in the area where you found the bullet, there were clear jars. And Mhlahlo said the jars are clear, but they had food inside. And she said, if I'm not lying, it looked like cereal. And Mshololo asked, Mr. Mosia inspected and did not find the bullet. The reason why Mr. Mosia did not find the bullet, because it was not there. It was planted by people moving in and out after he left and before you arrived. And Mhlahlo said, if I found it by shifting the jars, if I hadn't followed the trajectory and moved the jars, I also wouldn't have found the bullet. Trajectory. And
Ballistic
you said,
expert.
you're not a ballistic expert. And Mshololo then said, my point is that it was not there, and it was placed there by people who were coming in and out, because that door was never closed. And Mhlahlo says, I wouldn't be able to speak of something that happened before I got there. I have no evidence that the bullet was planted. What I know is that I found the bullet behind the glass jars. And Mosia is the one who took the exhibits with him. Mhlahlo said, yes. And Mshololo asked, so you decided that all the exhibits should be taken by Junior? And Mhlahlo said, like I explained to the court, that Mosia was proceeding with the evidence of forensic. He collected them at the crime scene. I was not able to take the exhibit that were collected by Mosia and leave with them. That was going to break the chain of evidence. And
Now we're talking about the chain of evidence.
Now we're talking about the chain of evidence that she did not mention yesterday. She had to be schooled on it by Mnisi. And Mshololo then said, and you don't know where. And Mr. Mosia took the exhibits to. You don't know where Mr. Mosia took the exhibits to. And Mhlahlo said, that Mosia can answer to. So Mhlahlo said that cartridges and swabs were placed in 459. And even if you found a firearm at the scene, you book it at the police station in and out, and you arrive at the office and put them in a 459. That is a SAP 13 register that works at their office, then placed in a safe until that time that they're taken to the forensic. So everyone has their own safe, and if you work overnight, you keep them in the steel cabinet. So SAP 13 clerk is not in the office at night time. But the following day, you take them out of your steel cabinet and you take them to the exhibit room. So she said that the exhibit room is in their office. So Mshololo asked, in your evidence, you single out Colonel Mangena. Mhlahlo said, I spoke about his arrival. Colonel Mangena arrived alone. They left the scene together. When he was doing his investigation, Mhlahlo said he was there at the scene. So Mshololo said, where did Colonel Mangena do his investigation? And Mhlahlo said he will come and answer himself. But he was on the scene inside the house. Mhlahlo said Mangena arrived at the time when she was photographing the bullet. She thinks he had his camera. She's never assisted him with taking pictures and never assisted Mosia either. And Mshololo concluded her cross-examination. Sipho Ramusipili said that he received instructions to ask the witness further questions. So he reopened his cross-examination. And he started off by saying, in that debriefing, were you told that the people in the house were consuming alcohol before the intruders came into the house? And Mhlahlo said the only thing that was mentioned was that the people in the house were eating and having fun. So Ramusipili asked, did you see any signs that people were fighting in that kitchen between the alleged true intruders and the 6 people who were there in the house? And Mhlahlo said there was blood on the wall. That's what indicated that something had happened.
Oh, so there was blood on the wall.
Now there was blood on the wall.
That's very interesting.
It's very interesting. And Ramusipili said, but broken plates or anything to indicate the scuffle that is said to have taken place.
Is that blood there on the pictures, though?
There was no follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
Then Mhlahlo said, I never saw broken cups except for the dishes that were in the cupboard. Ramusipili then asked, there is an entry and exit wound on the deceased's body. Did you swab the bullet projectile for DNA profile? Mhlahlo said, Mosia never swabbed it.
Blaming it all to Mosia, who's sick also.
Then Ramusipili closed, and there was a re-examination by Mnisi. He also reopened some of the questions. But an interesting tussle happened just before, because he was asking for the simulcasting of the exhibit pictures. And Mhlahlo didn't wanna comment on the other picture. And at the same time, the advocate who sits next to Advocate Baloyi said he doesn't know how to put 2 pictures together on one screen.
2 pictures together?
Yeah, like the pictures like this. That's how Mnisi wanted them on the screen.
Or side by side?
Side by side.
He doesn't know how to do that?
He said he doesn't know how to do that. I found that
No, come on. Why is he there, man? Give that job to someone else.
No, but it seems like it's not his job. He's just doing it. But I found it weird.
It's a state's job to actually project the things that.
So it's the state's job.
Yes.
But he didn't. He said he doesn't know how.
He's in control of that computer. Who else is in control of that computer?
I was like, something is going on here.
The judge was supposed to intervene.
No, he didn't.
Because side by side is easy. It's not even the issue of you putting them together. You could have just minimized enough the other picture and then put the other picture there. It's not something that, it's not like there's a software that you are using that requires you minimize. You know how to minimize?
Yes.
I
do.
You minimize.
And I know how to put them side by side. So I don't know what was happening there, because I felt like, what is going on? And that actually threw Mnisi's cross-examination a bit off. It really did, because he wanted
it's like
to show
we are working
the
against
pictures
states
next to each
here.
other.
You want to show the truth, and someone, somewhere, somehow is going to disturb you from actually asking or even bringing questions that would actually bring light or shine light to the case itself. Because as much as these people that are defending, what is happening here is that they are opening eyes in many people that who were taken by a certain member who told us that these people who are there on the stand are the right people to. We were told by a certain advocate who believed that the states got the right people, and that advocate is none other than, for me, who said these are right people, is Gerinel.
Yes,
it's easy to believe such people. It's easy. Now I'm wondering if we could get another interview on those channels, CNA, which seems to be the one that mostly talk to him.
His comment would be highly appreciated.
I would like to know what is his comment so far. He's
too quiet.
He was gloating about Advocate Baloyi.
He is too quiet for my liking.
He was gloating about Advocate Baloyi, telling us that
what Gerinel now thinks with all of these proceedings that have taken place.
and his party also, because there's a spokesperson who was also talking on behalf of I don't know who. So it will be very interesting to see what is this tune now.
Because remember how before De Novo he would be in court and taking notes. He was part of Watching Brief. Is he still part of Watching Brief for the Meyiwa family? What's going on?
No, we would still need him, because people like this who believe once and for all that if a certain person does something because that person is capable of doing that, therefore.
Siyamdinga. Sifuna ukwazi ukuthi ucabangani manje.
As an old way of actually investigating.
Oh my God. And I found that very, very weird. And I knew that this was going to throw Mnisi off for some reason. And the judge also sided with the state and said that he could look at both pictures. The pictures are like in one.
You see, that's a problem.
File.
That's a problem. There's a difference between what you view in a certain order and what you viewing things simultaneous.
Yes.
There's a huge difference.
You can spot the difference.
Yes.
When you're looking like this. But when you still have to be like.
So how are you going to notice the differences? It will take you ages.
Forever. And I knew that. Ayama intombi yomXhosa yathi asoze mna ndi-commente ngale picture. So Mnisi reopened his cross-examination, and a picture of a door damage taken by Mhlahlo on the morning of the 27th, believed to have been caused by the bullet projectile, was displayed on the screen, and another picture taken by Mangena also, where they had to like compare by looking. So Mhlahlo said, I cannot comment on Mangena's photo album. Mnisi asked, give us a comment on your photo album.
And the law and the judge has allowed that
argument.
And the judge has allowed that. Listen, we are shooting at the studio and something happens and we happen to see it. If we were to be asked, what did you see? It would sound similar. Even if, okay, maybe I must say I saw a spot check there and there that maybe you didn't notice. But it would sound similar and it will be synchronized in a manner that it's like I'm telling additional or you are telling additional information that I could not recognize at the time, because the main aim was not to recognize those things other than the incident that happened. Mm-hmm. This whole I cannot comment, to me, sounds like you are protecting yourself from something, and the judge is happy with that.
Helping.
We were together in the same area doing whatever that we were doing.
Next
Come on,
to each other,
side by side.
You know,
the same way that the pictures were requested to come side by side, and so that they can be compared.
Mosia is even using her photo album to testify. So Baloyi objected and said that the witness is well within her rights to say that she can't comment on someone else's photo album. We've said that Colonel Mangena will be called to come and testify. So such questions can be put to him. And the judge said, Mr. Mnisi, where are you going to now? And Mnisi said, my lord, the witness has come here to assist this court. I cannot have the right to say that I cannot testify on this or I cannot testify on that, because her being here is just a futile exercise. And the judge said it's not a futile exercise. She has given evidence about what photos she took, and she gave an explanation of the... I'm even bored to go through the entire argument. I'm like, obvious, guys, you know how it ended. You know, it ended. Ntombi yomXhosa umile wathi asoze yena aphendule imibuzo ngesithombe esinye esathathwa ngomunye umuntu. She will not be answering any questions that were taken by somebody else.
Let's continue.
So Mnisi said, can you explain the direction of the splinters? This is after he moved on to another section now. And Mhlahlo said that they are facing different directions. By the way, this part now, she's being asked on her own picture, or the picture that she took. So she said they're facing different directions in her photo album. So Mnisi asked, what else? And Mhlahlo said the door is damaged. Mnisi said, Haibo, we are done with that. And Mhlahlo said, the only thing I see is that the door is damaged and the splinters face different directions. And then Mnisi said, let's go to photo 12, Mangena's album. And Mhlahlo closed the album, apparently. According to the people in court, Mnisi said the witness cannot pick and choose. And Mnisi said the witness is in court to assist the court and has no right to testify on what she's being asked. And the judge said that she has the right. Mnisi is allowed to ask the questions on Mangena's photo album. And Mnisi said, looking at the two pictures, do the features you've just described in a picture you took appear on the picture taken by Mangena? And Mhlahlo said, I wouldn't be able to testify on ballistic evidence. I won't be able to comment on Mangena's photo album. Mnisi then said, forget about Mangena. As a photographer, can you comment on those features? And Mhlahlo said, I won't comment on pictures I didn't take, with the greatest of respect, because I would be misleading the court. Mnisi asked, is it your evidence that you found a hole on the door? And Mhlahlo said, there is damage on the door. Mnisi asked, so you didn't find any hole? Mhlahlo said, maybe we don't understand a hole the same way. Mnisi then said, Haibo, a hole is a hole. And Mnisi said, didn't you write in your statement that a close-up view of a picture shows a bullet hole in your statement? And Mhlahlo said, yes, that is so. Mnisi says, so why do you say you didn't find a hole? And Mhlahlo said, that's why I say there's a misunderstanding. Mnisi said, misunderstanding for who? Mhlahlo said, between you and I. Mnisi said, did the door have a hole or not? Mhlahlo said, it had damage. Then the judge said, Mnisi, this is a waste of time. And Mnisi said, I've got no further questions. It is a waste of time. She doesn't want to answer whether that was a hole or not.
And the judge defends, it's a waste of time.
He's saying she's not going to answer the question, so they might just as well leave it for argument. This leaving for argument situation.
It's not, that thing is nonsense.
And also Khumalo wanted to ask questions, and he was asked how many questions he had. He had to state that he wanted to ask six questions.
Yeah. Was it 4? And then it ended up being 6. Because he ended up saying that I'm on the 6th now. Because there's always going to be something emanating from the question you asked.
Oh my God, I was like, yo, this is very rude. This is like not flowing. And even his questions, I didn't pick up. Did you pick up anything that would be off?
No.
Like, I was like, yo, what a turn off. 6 questions. You have been given a cap. You've been given a cap that this is how.
And then the judge prides himself by, hey, I give people a chance. What chance?
What chance is
As
that?
if you are doing them favors, by the way.
As if he's doing them favors. They are not allowed to re-ask questions that have popped up. But anyway, the state also did their re-examination, and I'm not going to cover it as well because it was a repetition of everything that we already know. Mhlahlo concluded giving her evidence in court, and Baloyi announced that the person who has brought Mosia's registers was there, but uncomfortable to testify on Mosia's registers. So the judge said that he is a court witness and should come and testify. So the state asked for a long adjournment for the defense to have sight of
And
the
they
registers.
came back, SAPC 1 mess us up.
Yeah, it was cut. We got it halfway. But this is what I could gather. I know a lot of people are waiting for this part. The next person who was set to testify was Siketo Joel Ngomani, who will testify on Mosia's registered in October 2014. So now he brought information, the document that had 8 pages. Colonel Ngomani was on the stand, And then they took a 10-minute adjournment to sort out the papers that Kolonel Komani had brought to court. So the document included the case register, a plan register, vehicle register, and a pocketbook. So Ngomana attached to the SAPS Springs at the local criminal record center. Now he's a crime scene investigation commander. Ngomana said that he had access to the registers, and Baloyi asked, "Do you know Mosia, Warrant Officer Mosia?" And Ngomani said he used to work at Springs. And Baloyi asked, "Please identify the documents you've brought." And he did so, and Ngomani went through the entries that were made in those books. So Ngomani said that the entry indicates Mosia arrived at the scene on 0020, of which he did testify. The scene is that of Kutwanong Street. Mosia did testify that he arrived at that time. Ngoman also went through particulars of the vehicle Mosia was using on the day, and it was standby. The date was Monday 2014, 10/27, 6:30 departure from home to office, 7:30 reported on duty, photos and fingerprints with motor vehicle, and he did not finish the kilometer reading. He did not fill it in. 9:50 departure from office and back to Phosphorus, 12:37, 10:24. So,
you know, before you continue, Emir, there is an assertion that something was cancelled before that. And I'll put a theory here, and that theory is gonna say that maybe the date, because whatever that was cancelled, it's the same thing as this case. It's the same case actually.
Yes.
Maybe the date and time there. Okay, maybe the time there is the time that we were not supposed, or the one that we were speculating to. And that's why I was worried about that part, because I wanted to hear that part read, even though it was cancelled. It'd be interesting to know.
So the SABC cut it off.
Yes, it was cut off. And then the only time he came back, you said this one was cancelled. Yes.
Sure.
Because I wanted to know the time there.
Did anybody pick it up? Please help us out.
Because that time was important. That time maybe could tell us at what time this man was there.
We need that part that was cancelled. If anyone picked it up, please send it to us. Then 10:25, arrival at the scene with Lieutenant Matebula. 13:20, departure from the scene. 14:30, arrival at the office. So Mosia was not writing the kilometers that he traveled. Ngomani went through an exhibit of the vehicle register now. Now, details regarding the car he was using in 2014, it was a Renault Fluence, used by fingerprint and photos.
So mine, Emil, I took it in this manner because it's written, and that time, it's a time that I don't believe, by the way. The 12 o'clock at night, 20 past 12, arrival. I don't believe in that time. And then at 1:40, departure from the scene. And then 2:30, Delango's Street. That's an arrival there.
Yes.
And then 2:50, departure from the scene. That is departure from Delango's Street, I guess, which doesn't have a case number, by the way, as we are going to see that. And then 3:30, arrival from Muleleki section on a standby. I'm thinking that is home, right? And then 6:30, departure from home. And then 7:30, reported on duty. Okay, kilometers were not read here, and obviously the department is photos and fingerprints.
Yes.
And then he was driving a car, BS P528, I think, B. And then 9:30, departure from the office back to Phosphorus. And then 9:50 actually. And then 10:25, arrive at the scene with Lieutenant Matebula. And then 13:20, and departure from the scene again. That is Phosphorus scene. That means they stay from 10 up until 10:20. 1:20, sorry. And then from 2, arrive at the office. So that means from the office to, I guess he went somewhere, because that would be close to an hour. And then you can continue the exhibit, C5.
Well, 2014, October 2014, 26 at 12. 12 during the day. Destination departure from home to Recha Park, back to Katlehong for standby. Date when he booked back the vehicle was 2014-10-26 at 13:20. So 48 kilometers is what he traveled, and he signed for booking out of the vehicle. He also booked it again on the 26th of October 2014. The time was 23:30. This is at night now. Departure was from home to Dawn Park and proceeded to Vosloorus, then to number 1500 Moleleki Street, extension 1 Katlehong, for standby duties. He also booked the vehicle back and signed for it. And on 27th of October 2014 at 3:10, 10 minutes past 3, 61 kilometers, he booked the vehicle again at 7 on the 27th of October 2014, and departure from home to the office. He signed for it and arrived at the office at 7:30 on the 27th. 43 kilometers were traveled. The last entry was cancelled. Then another person took the vehicle. So Ngomani went through exhibit called a planned register, which was the SAP 243, and that's where they register only photographic cases. And the judge asked if this planned register mentions cases, and Ngomani said, yes, my lord. Ngomani continued to go through the exhibit with the judge and said that 12 multiplied by evidence swabs. So 1 or 4 times bullet jacket, 18 bullet core, and there was a signature where somebody received the docket.
Which is Matilde.
Colonel Matidza.
Matilde.
And he received it on 2014, November the 6th. So the last 2 cases done by Mosia on the 26th of October 2014, the station was Dawn Park. Case number was not written. The charge was business robbery at number 251 Lutando Street and 150415, and the docket was closed by a different police officer. So 2014, 10, 27th at 23:30, 2:30 and 2:40. Station was Vosloorus. Now this is the Senzo's case. Case number not written. The charge was arson. Okay, this is another case. The charge was arson, 1507 Idelangozi Street, extension 14 Vosloorus. And Constable Mosia is the one who did the case. And it was closed on the 22nd of December in 2014. And it was closed by a different officer. So Ngomani went through the last exhibit, which was the case register, also known as SAP 219. Now, this is where they register all cases, regardless of whether it's fingerprint or photographic cases. So this is the important section, guys. This is the one. The case Mosia attended was on the 10th, the 27th of October 2014. Not the 10th, 27th of October 2014. The time was 0020 at night. The name and address of the complainant was Brigadier Ndlovu. It was number 13511 Kutwanong Street, extension 11 Mzamo section. That's where the incident happened. And the charge or offense was murder. And the station was Vosloorus and case 636 of 10/2014. So it was reported by Ndlovu. Fingerprint expert there was Mosia. The date and time of investigation was 0020, so it was 20 past midnight. The scene investigated, scene chemical, soccer player, prints found. Fingerprints were positive, meaning that the fingerprints were found at the scene. Now Baloyi asked fingerprints identified as that of, just put that on record. And Ngomane said it said no elimination. In other words, from the scene, when he comes back from the scene of a crime, he did not take any fingerprints. So if I can just clarify that, because normally when we are at the crime scene and then you suspect maybe it's a complainant's fingerprints to see if it's not the complainant's fingerprints or anybody who stays in that house. So no elimination means that they were taken from the people who were in the house. So what he's saying here is that Mosia collected the fingerprints of the people who were in the house, right? So Ngomane said another case that deals with Mosia is 1263, which was on the 26th of October 2014, and the time was 22:10. This is the previous night. Okay, this is before midnight. 22:10. That's 10:10 at night. The name of the complainant was Captain Nkosi at number 251 Lutando Street, extension 10, Mapleton. Offense charge was business robbery station in Dawn Park, case number 262. The person who reported the case is Mkasi, assigned the fingerprint expert Mosia. Date and time of investigation was 26th of October 23:05. This is 11:05. Fingerprint was negative. So this is where now we're like, okay, wait a minute, what? Didn't Mosia say that he attended at 2:40 a.m. the 27th of October? He said he had to leave what he was doing at the Senzo scene.
And indeed, if you check the track of a car, I think it's a bit. The departure from the scene was 1:40, and then 2:30. This is Itelango's Street. This is where this incident was allegedly reported, right? So the only difference is 10 minutes there, which could, in a sense, be said to be okay. It's an estimation, but it's around that time, right?
Then why does it say 22:10 on the pocketbook entries?
Yeah, it begs the question.
What is happening?
And you want to know what the other thing is funny? That is funny.
What?
I'm looking at these cases. There's something that is very important here.
I'm listening.
You see that LCR number? LCR.
It's an LCR.
LCRC, which is, I think I wrote it down. This is a number that you cannot
Duplicate.
fake. It's a unique number. I will tell you, it's said to be local. I don't know, what is it called? I will tell you what it is called once I get. But it's a number that you cannot fake, you cannot duplicate. Those numbers, if you look at them, if you are taking them,
I didn't take
the number of the case. I think this is Kelly's. This is Senzo's case, right?
Yeah.
It is what is it? 1268? No, it's not 1268. I think it's 1263.
So if you are saying that the LCRC numbers are unique.
Yeah, they are unique. Those are numbers that are there on the I had this thing written this is just a short name for something.
Okay, let me wrap it up by telling you guys the last entry for Mosia, right?
Yeah.
And on the 26th of October 2014, the time was 12 o'clock during the day.
Yes.
The complainant was Ima Dumeja at Delmo train station. Offense, it was an inquest station was Reiger Park, Delmo train station. So inquest station was Reiger Park and the case number was 279. And the person who reported was Madumeja. It was just a photo case only there and no fingerprints. So since they cannot or could not pick up the other case that would kind of assist us in figuring out what was happening at 2:40 a.m. The question I have, guys, is where did Mosia go at 2:40 when he left the scene at Kutwanong Street in Zama section? Ramosipele even asked, and he's like, if they are not supposed to pose questions to Mr. Mgomani, because Ramosipele said that he could see that the vehicle register doesn't cover the scenes of robbery and arson. And the judge said that is the information of Mosia. He knows nothing about that. Okay, Ngomani knows nothing about that because he was just doing the court a favor by bringing the registers and the pocketbooks. And Ramosipele then asked, I was just referring to the second page of the register to see whether the vehicle register does not capture the trips to the arson or robbery, but it's neither here nor there, my lord. And the judge said the robbery and arson has nothing to do with this case. He sure does like saying that, and yet we had to listen to a cross-examination and examination of the Alexandra and Cleveland cases, but he just likes saying that. And Mgomani said that they said that Mgomani will not be cross-examined on Mosia's entries. So a new witness is expected to take the stand tomorrow. So I just want someone to answer that question for me. Where did Mosia go at 2:40 a.m. when he left the scene of the demise of Senzo? Where was he?
Yeah, Emil, I get this thing. So if I'm not mistaken, the LCRC of the incident that happened in Spaza shop is 1263, right?
Yeah.
And then Mosia proceeded to another one, which is in Mshololo.
Yes.
Same day.
Yes.
The LCRC of that one is 1237. Look at that gap between 1263 to 1237 of the things that happen, and you would expect them to have a closer number. Let's say someone else was busy with that thing, you'd expect them to have a closer number.
So it's 1263 and
1237.
And 1230. Ooh, there's a gap. It's a huge
And then he proceeded to Mshololo, and then this one does not have the LCRC number. And those are the things that really the judge didn't want to be probed. And this guy was going to answer. It's not like he's implicating himself.
No.
There's nothing. He's just telling according to his experience.
Yes, of what is happening. Was it not recorded?
The issue of this thing now not being... in fact, I saw that there was going to be a problem once they were talking about this person doesn't want to testify because this is Mosia's what. I knew that here comes the problem.
So there's some wishy-washy stuff that was done at the beginning to try and, in my opinion or in my speculation, to try and align. It just backfired towards the end.
The end, yes, it did.
Pocketbook.
It did.
So we have a problem now. What is going on?
And those numbers don't make sense. And there is a case that if you see the sequence of the cases that he did that day, they all start with 6.
Yes.
There's only one that starts with 3.
Yes.
When I say 3, it's 12 and then 6.
3. I see.
And 12,
I captured one.
Yeah,
here.
and 12, 6, 4, and then we have 1237.
1237.
And that good people, if it's not anything, I don't know.
There's some wishy-washy thing that happened.
I just don't know, man. Yeah, it's
Because
called. Thank you very much. I also got it. It's called local criminal record center. So this is a
Local
number
Criminal
where they
Record
work, obvious.
Center.
Yes. It's local criminal record center. Yes. This is the number that
Thank
they get from
you.
their department.
So, guys, the lines are open. I feel like now.
And then there's a PR number also.
There's also a PR number.
A PR number. Those things are important.
Well, I didn't take them this time. I felt overwhelmed.
I think
But I
PR
will
number
re-listen to
PR
the
number
part
is also a
and
unique
take those
number.
numbers.
PR number is also a unique number. It's a personal record number. It's your number. It's like an employee number.
Yes.
When they read that PR number of this other case, it was different from the other one that Mosia used on the case of Senzo. Those numbers are different. I don't know if that is how all the time you get a new PR number. I don't know, or it's consistently that number allocated under you.
His excuse would be that he was on standby.
All I'm just saying is that it just doesn't make sense. These things, they're not difficult to comprehend. That's what I'm trying to say. If you sit down and listen to them and take those numbers and compare those numbers and Google is there, you can always get what that thing means. Don't be confused by the shortening of those names.
Of the abbreviations. So, guys, where did Mosia go at 2:40 a.m.? Where did he go? Because Angie told him in the record, he went somewhere and attended.
Yeah, in fact, Emily, if I'm not mistaken, I'm still going to confirm. The 1237 one is the main case that we're talking about.
1237.
Yes. And the rest, they have 60s on them. The complainant was Brigadier Ndlovu.
Yes.
Yes. That's the one that is written 1237 as a LCR RC number, which is 2014. And the time of that happening is 20 past 12. So those are things that you should ask yourself. Indeed, my Lord, we do not expect this witness to give answers with regards to this. And indeed, my Lord, we know that someone is sick. So, guys, it's that time. Before I take the call, I see someone is calling. Let's like the video. 680. We have 400 likes. Can we have like those 600 likes here translated here and subscribe? We're still begging for likes. I will take the call. I see that someone is calling, but and then the regulations now are that we give you 2 minutes, and in that 2 minutes, you have a right to not even greet us and just shoot,
just
so that
go for it.
So that you save time also for yourself and say more if you want to say more. We don't want to cut you. I don't intend to cut people because people complain. People said I must cut, and then when we cut, it's like,
it's
too short. Okay.
It is too short. The minute, no. So let's hear what our people have to say, because you wishy.
Yeah.
Wishy. It's a mess.
It is.
I'm trying to even look because I saw something like 6:30 and whatnot, and I'm like,
No, you need to take all those things.
Departure from home to the office.
Yeah.
7:30 reported for duty.
Nzanzelo.
Yes. Just two things. When was that lady Mhlahlo, when she was questioned about the evidence that they were collecting with Mosia, she said, no, it was not anybody's instructions between the two of us.
Yes.
We were working as a team. But now, all of a sudden, when she has to answer on the teamwork that they were doing, she's allowed to say, I can't comment on what Mosia was doing. But you were doing it as a team. And the other thing is, these people are not collecting evidence for themselves as individuals. They are collecting evidence for the state. So whoever comes from the state side is giving evidence for the state. We cannot make an excuse and say, no, it was Mosia, it was not me. The picture was taken Mosia. But you are allowed, on one hand, to say we were working as a team. But you can't comment on the teamwork that you were doing. And the judge allows that. You see? And you see the local criminal center that we're talking about is anonymous. The reason why it's not there, Mosia took evidence home and tampered with it. The following day, by 10 or 9, he was already there with Mshololo, whatever. And they had all the time to mess up with the evidence that was collected. That is why answers cannot come out as to why didn't you find the bullet the previous day? Why are you finding it today? And that question I was asking yesterday, that it was asked by Mshololo today.
Yes.
Why did you measure the piece of wood that you say it comes from the door? She didn't measure it, and the judge allows that she must say she does. There's nowhere in the police where they work with wood. You see, but at the same time, that wood is evidence. Now, if they don't have it within the police and the state is serious about the case, why didn't they take that piece of wood to the wood specialist then? Because they have to concretize their evidence. It doesn't have to be within the police system, but the state must take their evidence to whatever extent, even if they are not within the police system. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he did mention it yesterday, the part about the wood.
Yes, that's why we have this session. Thank you very much for adding. I think there was a voice recording here that I promised someone I would play.
Okay.
Hey, good day. Good day, Mr. Anonymous. Good day, Emily. How are you? I hope everything is well. I missed the show yesterday. I was busy, but anyway, if you're catching, or if you caught the show, if you caught the trial today, and anyway, I just think it's weird to me that this lady cop, I forget her name, she says she finds the bullet, but she found the bullet on the 27th on the counter behind some glasses that didn't shatter. But didn't Maggie Perry clean the whole apartment on the 26th? So she found this bullet with her superior forensic skills, as she says, yeah? And the bullet is just there. And superior logic, this advocate Mnisi, which is the best, is making a point to say that anybody could have found that projectile, but she made it worse to say, oh, well,
Okay.
We are getting a call.
I'm getting a call.
Okay, cut the recording. We'll get back to
Hello.
Mr. Anonymous.
Yes, sir.
Hi, how are you?
All good.
I'm good. Yeah, just have some few comments as well. Yes. I've just got a few comments. Yes. First one is with regards to the fingerprints. Mosia said there were no fingerprints taken on the kitchen door when he was asked, since it was frequently used. But now we are hearing Mhlahlo saying she did take the fingerprint swab, but there was nothing positive found, which is strange. Now, who are we supposed to believe between the two? Because clearly from Mosia, the kitchen, because of the kitchen door being frequently used, it wasn't. But now with Mhlahlo, she did put some powders and stuff like that, but nothing positive to him. So there's a contradiction jurisdiction there. And also with my lord, the judge, initially I thought he was being tactical in making the witness feel comfortable so that maybe unconsciously they may tell the truth in terms of what happened that night. But now I have changed my mind. I'm convinced that he just enjoys being on the witness's side. Lastly, all in all, we just still have to wait and see how Balong is going to link the firearm that was allegedly found on the third witness's position, especially since they did testify that they didn't even take the fingerprint from the firearm. But I'm sure they are cooking something, or they already cooked something that in terms of how they are going to link the firearm with what happened on Senzo Meyiwa's case. That's all from my side.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. There's an advice. If you come here, please remove your phone on loudspeaker. That's what they're saying here on the comments. It helps the quality of your audio.
And your audio.
Yes.
Okay, so you must remove it from loudspeaker and speak on.
That was the result of me observing the door that I did not package and collect as evidence, but I observed it, and my next motion was to see what caused that damage to the door. So she said from that, she then found the bullet. So it just seems like a concoction to me, But anyway, Advocate Mnisi, he's doing the groundwork. He's working so hard, and he made it a point to prove that even the labeling on the packaging, it can be isolated as packaged at a different time. You see, it's not consistent as the rest of the evidence, the way it's been collected. That's what he was saying. I like Advocate Mnisi, man. I like them all. They're all pretty well. I just think that they're all good. I just think that Mshololo is a little bit overrated, possibly because she's female. But she's not bad. I just think the relevant questions that'll open more questions, open more revelations. We're getting that.
Okay.
Getting that from like the first 3 advocates or whatnot. But anyway. There's one other thing too.
Yeah. So basically, okay, he's saying that the 3 advocates, which is number 1, number 2, number 3, are giving us the source.
Okay.
Well,
I have no problem with their opinion.
Yeah. And I'm not the one to criticize anyone now, because when I criticize people, they say,
everyone is contributing in their own way.
Yeah,
Everyone
guys,
has their own
keep them calls
strategy.
coming. Like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and let us continue. My network. Okay, yes, Mzansi, hello.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good, Mr. Namat, and just greetings to Emily.
Hi.
Yeah, I just hear guys in Khumalo is coming right, and the way you just analyze it gives us more clarity also as well, and to understand and follow properly the case. But I've got some few things that I wanted to just comment on. I mean, in fact, two.
Yeah.
If you can remind me, remember the time that the projectiles that were found. I'm not sure whether with 2 projectiles or 1 projectile.
2.
2.
Yes.
Okay, there's one that was found by Mtabiseng, if you still remember.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether this lady Mhlahlo is aware of that. I was thinking that the defense counsel has been asked that. Nevertheless, there is something that I picked up, Mr. Anonymous, that Mhlahlo mentioned as an expert. Being an expert means in a task means there is a unity that if you check on this case, which was not called, which could have been crucial to help the case. Based on the fact that if you still remember that the judge mentioned that park was part of the crime scene. For my understanding, as I'm working for a she could have called the dog unit. The dog unit could have been called to go there to search with the dog. There's a special dog. When you're thinking, if we need that dog, we have to apply it in Joburg, and you see the distance from the center to Joburg. And it was near there. So that's my submission for that. These people from the state side, in fact, the SAPS stays again on that part. That park was a crime scene.
Yeah.
They could have been a dog to be sent there. Another thing that makes me just to have a little bit to understand is that the bullet projectile was found on the glass, between the glass. Remember the glass?
Yeah.
You see the glass, if the bullet seed, which bounced from wherever, it landed to the glass and it doesn't break the glass. Whereas this lady, who Sister Gakeli, said that she could feel the spark which cut her feet. You see. I'm people worried of that. The last thing then I hang up is that of Advocate Khumalo. Advocate Khumalo said to the judge, and I'm worried about the judge. In fact, that I'm raising this one because of the judge. Said that the bullet that was taken to for examination was not the actual bullet, because the other one was planted. And then the judge said, "Where is that one?" Which was shot there. So I couldn't understand the judge why he did like that, because this witness was telling me part of so easy, especially during the
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah. Thank you.
So another thing I'm noticing is that there was an earlier time mentioned with regard to the vehicle movement, and it was 3:10 on the 27th of October. So they are saying this is the time that Mosia booked the vehicle back, or he signed it back, right?
Yeah.
Meaning he was from somewhere. And then he came and booked the vehicle again at 7 a.m. on the 27th of October. And he says he left the scene at 2:40. Still, I thought I would find my answer there. Where did Mosia go?
He said he went to Delingos Street. But Delingos. He went to Delingos.
But you are telling me from 2:40 up until 3:10 he went to Delingos.
Up until
In the morning, because that's when he
Delingos,
handed back the vehicle.
he departed Delingos at around 2:50. And then he went to at 3:30 he went to Muleleki section where he was on standby. That is 3:10. And then at 6:30 departed from home. I guess that is Muleleki section. Departed from home. And then 7:30.
So he went home.
Yes. 7:30 he reported on duty.
So he went home.
With the same car, BSP 528B. And then at 9:50, departure from office back to Fosloras. And then arrives there at 10:25.
Still.
And then now
Where's
when he
the
arrives
arson
there,
case?
when he arrives at the scene, he is now with Lieutenant Matebula. And then
Where is the arson case?
The ISIS case doesn't
During
even
the
have.
day.
There's a lot
The
of
one
things
that
missing
you
there.
picked up there was
yes.
during the day.
Yes.
The robbery case,
The case
was before
is
the
it?
Senzo incident.
They said 226. Case number is 26. No, they need to follow up on that case number if it's there. They need to follow up on that case number
and look at
and
the case.
yeah,
'Cause
the same
wow.
message that the judge said, but they must do it personally because
Yeah.
we cannot trust the situation where the people that are supposed to give us what looks like or sounds like the truth is not sounding like that. So why would we trust them to verify that was the case? How would you trust such people?
It's self-verification.
Such people who would record things for some weird reason, record the cast number on on Senzo's case, and then
But
and
leave
then
every other case
after
there.
that, just right after that, they forget to record the number, and then that LCRC number they it's not there
It's
also.
not there. It's not visible.
Something is not right, man. I don't know. Something is not right, man. I don't know. Yeah, but maybe I'm lying. Maybe you guys have something, but for me,
Can
something's not
somebody
right.
tell me, how is the chat looking like? Guys, can you tell me, where did Mosia go? Where did he go at 2:40 a.m.?
Yes, he did went home with evidence.
He did go home.
He did go home with evidence.
That we
that
can
we
verify.
can. I think even in the case it was kind of alluded to that. But these things are also aligning to that.
The arson case and the robbery.
See, the arson case is not as clear cut as
That he
because
said
you
he
only
had
get it
to
on the
leave.
register of the cases.
When asked, why did you leave the scene? He said, I had other cases to attend to. Wasn't that his reason? So, Dintang, Mosia. Oh, Mosia.
It's a mess. It's a mess, Emil.
Like I'm getting a headache.
Yeah, it's a mess. Guys, like the video, and if no one is calling, guess people are sleeping. I must also go sleep. Also, it's important. If no one is calling,
Let's hear the next witness for tomorrow. Who it's going to be? I know for a fact it might not be a police officer or anything like that. We might get someone random.
Yeah.
After what happened today. I think so.
Look, the messing up of who comes first so that he can be corroborated. That to
We
me
might
looks
get
like
one of the neighbors
you
who
know
was on the street who ran to the park or something like that. But
it depends on who's gonna make the state case stronger or who's gonna throw us off. This is alleged.
Because all of this Mosia mess, I don't see the state immediately calling
Hello?
again.
Njani? Oh.
I don't see them calling Colonel Mangena or any of the other colonels that were assisting with the scene, working with Mhlahlo and Mosia. I think they're going to park it for now, in my opinion. I think for now they're going to be like, whoa, too much to consume.
What has happened is basically it just...
Let's bring somebody else.
It baffles your mind. But if you are not following the case, that's the thing. You come in now, it would kind of not throw you off. But because we're starting from the documentary, we have been there up until now. So everything that is said, we are collaborating it from certain thing, and we are looking at that. And they bring their so-called experts. We still question because, for some weird reason, why would you miss writing the case until that case is actually retrieved from what register and that register? So now there's a need to verify that case if that man was involved there.
And it's funny how the judge kind of stopped the process of the defense counsel posing questions.
Just sussing information from an independent person.
Yes, the LCR number also that were not being shown. They needed to find, is there a way we can get them? can you bring them later on, or can you email them or something? You know, can you please help us with this LCR number? No, they didn't get the opportunity to do that. So they're going to have to work with the recording that we all have. And as you can see, it's a hot mess.
And obviously they don't have the what we have, because we can call it out here. In court, you have to be
careful.
Careful, respectful.
You can't say that.
You can't say that. How can you ask that?
How can you say that?
How do you know about the LCRC number? We know we are going to question it. It's a reference number. It's a reference number.
It's a reference
and we are going to question it.
Yes. So it was kind of like, it felt like blocky, like block type of energy. And I pelelanga lento, like it's not complete.
I hear you, Dan, when you say that. Remember, the state popped this case up after Afroforum attempted to private prosecute. Yes, I hear that there was a good deed that was done there, but I didn't like the approach of Afro after that, to say that whoever is there is the right person.
Yeah.
What work did you do to actually arrive at that? Because right now we are here, we are seeing the states fine with their pens down, wondering how they are going to link certain things.
Bold statement.
It was a bold statement to come out and create a certain perception of, these are right people.
It was too bold.
It was too bold.
And it was too early.
We thank them for manpower of bringing this case to life.
I don't know what happened there, but it was too bold and too early. It was as if they know for sure that the 5 accused are the right people.
Yeah.
And that kind of was weird.
And the bullet that was said to have hit the floor is the one, I think, that Ntabiseng found. For those who are still questioning, it was the one that hit allegedly the floor.
They will never acknowledge Ntabiseng because it will further poke holes into their incompetence if it's there. So I don't think they will ever acknowledge Ntabiseng. Ntabiseng will just have to be with her testimony, because they're not going to say Ntabiseng gave us that bullet. They're not going to admit it. I'm sure you've seen. I'm sure you can see even with the register what is happening. They're not going to admit it if Ntabiseng did give them that bullet.
And I don't know if you guys noticed this before we go out. That report that this guy was reading of what Mosia took to the exhibits that Mosia collected.
Yes.
From the Phosphorus case. It's forensic 12 times. Okay, 12 times evidence swap. Had 1 or 4, which either of those numbers are not making me comfortable, of bullet jacket.
Bullet jacket.
Do you understand?
And
either of those numbers.
I flew over it.
It's not making me comfortable, either of those numbers.
1 or 4.
Mzansi, hello?
Mr. Anonymous, I just have one question.
Yes.
Why is the judge so impatient with the defense? He always say, "No, that's a waste of time." The witness has answered that question.
Yes.
But he never does that. He never does that with Vasadino. Vasadino would examine, re-examine, and take all his time he had in the world.
Yes.
You never hear the judge interrupting and say, "You are wasting time." But he seems to be very much conscious of time when it's the time for the defense.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
No, I just wanted to ask that. Thanks.
Thank you. Nzanzi, hello?
Yes, Mr. Anonymous. The question, man, then just one second. Then where was Mosia? Mosia, I think Mosia was at home, but there's something, but I will check it for you tomorrow. Okay. I think this case, if you check, it has been there for a long period of time because they want to cut or do not have an access on this thing on Canada, which is the APL. We've got something called the APL at the school where if you travel with a vehicle, it tells you where you park. Even if you park at home, it tells you. So if the defense counsellors can ask the AVL, but I'm not sure whether it could be drawn now because of the time. It's more than 9 years. But I will ask one of my commanders, could it be that possible that to draw an AVL of maybe after 5 or 9 years or 8 years? But the AVL could have spot Mosia. That's why these people, the state made this case, because they knew that all the delays that were done, according to SAS, would have been caught through AVL. That's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Because, I mean, but I will try tomorrow to check if to the captain that if maybe they can draw AVL can be drawn maybe after 5 years. But the AVL would have been it is the best. It's like these service providers, MTN and stuff, who can trace whatever. So the AVL of A, that's only one thing about SAPs that I know is accurate. If you've done something with the state vehicle, it will tell you this friend was there at number so and so and so. That's the AVL.
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. That will help.
That will really
right? That will help. We'll wait for that. So, you see what I'm worried about? One bullet jacket, one times one, or 1 or 4.
1 by 4.
Yes, and then
jacket.
1 times 1 times bullet core. I don't know whether they call it bullet core. And those are the things that this man gave to Matidze, and they were received by Colonel Matidze. And the photograph, yeah.
Why 4 bullet?
Oh, 1. Okay. Oh, 1. 1 would be understandable because he said he got 1.
Yeah, 1 would make sense because he said he got 1. But why 4?
But nowadays bullet jacket. I don't know what the bullet
I
core
want
is.
the hard copy. But he did say, they just said it's a public document. I want
Look, guys, it was nice being with you
I
guys.
want that document. I want to be Thomas on this one. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, it was nice to be here. It was nice to be with you guys. Please like the video, share the video, and again, as usual, thank you, Auntie CK Moyo, Eunice, thank you, Snentlantla, Siyabonga Tabete, Paul Manjani, okay, in this Dan and Sizwe, as usual. Sizwe is there. Sibanda, thank you. And let me see if I can get one. These are people obviously that commented towards the end. And Mpo Nosipo.
Hi guys.
Yes.
Thank you
Hi.
so
Thank
much
you
for
for being with
engaging
us.
in the chat. I love the conversations. I always look at them at the replay and I'm like, yo, I'm missing out.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Bye.